Imagine pulling up to the pump, filling your tank, and realizing you're only paying for 15% of the petrol you used to buy. Your daily commute just got radically cheaper. That is the promise of E85, a new fuel blend made of 85% ethanol and only 15% traditional petrol. Right now, India imports roughly 90% of its crude oil requirements. That massive reliance on foreign crude leaves the economy vulnerable to global supply shocks and exacts a heavy toll on the environment. To break that dependency, the government is drafting new rules right now. Instead of inching forward from the current 20% ethanol blend, they are preparing to leap directly to E85. By replacing the vast majority of imported crude with domestic alternatives, this policy aims to insulate Indian drivers from the wild price swings of the global oil market. Ethanol is a renewable bioalcohol. Instead of extracting it from deserts half a world away, we ferment it right here at home from plant starches and sugars. The primary engine of this new fuel economy is sugarcane. Millions of farmers are already supplying the crop to distillers to create this combustible alcohol. To meet the massive new demand for an 85% blend, the supply chain is expanding heavily into maize cultivation as well. This guarantees a massive, permanent buyer for these crops. Traditional farmers are transitioning from anadatas, providers of food, into urjatas, providers of energy. We already have the data on how well this works. Over the last decade, early blending phases have saved India over 1.44 lakh crore rupees in foreign exchange. Growing our fuel domestically redirects wealth straight into rural communities, while forcing our national import bills to plummet. This bar chart compares life cycle greenhouse gas emissions of pure gasoline versus E85. Running on 85% plant-based alcohol drops emissions by up to 52%. Look closely at the particulate matter metric. E85 nearly eliminates it entirely, dropping cancer-causing tailpipe pollutants by 95%. Because this fuel is produced domestically and heavily subsidized by the government, the price per liter of E85 is set to be significantly lower than pure petrol. On paper, this solves the ultimate energy trilemma. We drastically cut urban air pollution, erase our reliance on foreign oil, guaranteeing cheaper fill-ups for drivers. But there is a massive catch. If you pump E85 into the standard petrol engine sitting in your driveway right now, you will trigger a catastrophic mechanical failure. High alcohol fuel is highly corrosive to standard parts. It eats away at conventional fuel lines, melts rubber hoses, and completely ruins engine seals. The only way to use this cheaper fuel is to drive a purpose-built flex fuel vehicle, or FFV. These cars are engineered from the ground up with specialized components to withstand high ethanol blends. Automakers are already rushing to meet the impending mandate. Maruti Suzuki, for example, is preparing to launch a flex-fuel version of the Frunks as early as 2026. The upgrade requirement extends to the petrol stations themselves. Storing and dispensing E85 requires entirely new underground tanks and specialized nozzles. The promise of a cheaper daily commute comes with an unavoidable multi-billion-dollar hardware upgrade for both automakers and national infrastructure. Then there is the biggest consumer fear of all, the persistent rumor that ethanol destroys your fuel efficiency. This graph illustrates the reality of ethanol's lower energy density. Because alcohol burns faster than petrol, your vehicle's fuel efficiency will drop by 15 to 25%. But notice the second line. The cost per liter of E85 drops at a much steeper angle. When you calculate the net cost per kilometer, the sheer steepness of the price discount completely offsets the lost mileage, leaving you with overall savings. If the rollout is executed properly, this domestic fuel policy will permanently lower the cost of driving while clearing the smog from our cities. Do you think the upfront cost of buying a new flex fuel vehicle is worth the promise of cheaper E85? Let us know in the comments. The E85 rollout is ultimately a massive national math problem. The Indian driver only wins if the government and the auto industry can successfully execute a flawless, nationwide hardware upgrade.